What if I told you that your lifespan is not primarily determined by your genes, but by the tiny choices you make every single day? Would you believe me if I said the difference between living until 60 or thriving past 100 is not written in your DNA, but in the simple habits you repeat? You may think longevity depends on expensive supplements, advanced medicine, or the latest health fads. That's a common belief, and it's completely wrong. The truth is far more surprising. The real secret lies in small, consistent routines that most people overlook. For decades, scientists and doctors have marveled at Japan, a country with one of the highest life expectancies in the world. Many of their centenarians credit their health not to wealth, not to genetics, but to modest, repeatable daily habits. But here's the catch. Not every Japanese practice can be copied word for word in America, Europe, or elsewhere. Diets are different. Environments are different. Cultures are different. So the question is, how do we take their wisdom and make it practical for our own lives? That's exactly what I'm here to share with you. I'm a physician specializing in geriatric health, based in the United States, and in this video I'll break down the 7 golden habits of Japanese doctors who remain active well into their 90s. More importantly, I'll show you how to adapt each of these habits realistically into your daily routine, so you can add not just years to your life, but life to your years. And if you stay until the end, I'll reveal 2 additional longevity principles rarely discussed, even more powerful than the original 7. But before we begin, let me ask you something. Where are you watching from? And how old are you this year? Share your answer in the comments. I'll do my best to respond to each one. Thank you for joining me here on Senior Health Tips, Healthy Aging. Now, let's get started. Number 7. Warm, not cold. Let's start our countdown with something so simple that most people shrug it off. Choosing warm foods and drinks over cold ones. In Japan, this is second nature. You rarely see someone gulping down ice water with their meal. Instead, they sip warm tea or plain hot water. At first glance, it might feel like just a cultural quirk. But when we look closer, the science actually makes a lot of sense. Your digestive system is a bit like a factory line. Enzymes are the workers, breaking down proteins, fats, and carbs. The line moves best when it's kept at an optimal temperature. Now imagine you suddenly pour ice water into that system right after a meal. The factory slows down. Fats harden more quickly, making them harder to process, and the whole line gets sluggish. That's why drinking very cold beverages during or after meals can leave you feeling bloated, heavy, or uncomfortable. I've seen this firsthand with patients here in the US, especially those dealing with acid reflux or GERD. Many of them lived on sodas and iced drinks because it was simply what they were used to. But when they switched to warm water or unsweetened hot tea, their symptoms often improved dramatically. It wasn't a miracle cure, but it reduced the pressure on their digestive system enough to make daily life much easier. There's also fascinating research to back this up. A study out of the Mayo Clinic found that warm liquids can help stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode of your body. That means you're not only digesting more comfortably, but also allowing your body to relax and reset. It's a small shift that has ripple effects on your overall health. I remember one of my patients, an 83-year-old woman who struggled with chronic indigestion. She was sharp and active, but constantly uncomfortable after meals. Instead of adding more medication, I encouraged her to try something different. Replace her cold drinks with warm tea or just warm water. 3 months later, she came back beaming. "Doctor," she told me, "I feel lighter after every meal. I don't dread eating anymore." It was such a modest change, yet it gave her back a sense of freedom. If you're wondering how to put this into practice without feeling deprived, start simple. Each morning, drink a cup of warm water with a slice of fresh ginger. It's soothing, it gently wakes up your stomach, and it can even help with circulation. If ginger isn't your thing, plain warm water works just fine. The key is consistency, not perfection. So while this habit might seem almost too small to matter, remember, longevity isn't about one grand action. It's about a collection of these small, mindful choices that build up over time. Choosing warm instead of cold is one of the easiest shifts you can make, and your digestive system will thank you for it. And if you think this tip is just a minor detail, wait until you hear the next one. It's about how your body has a built-in ability to repair itself, and all it takes is one simple adjustment to your daily routine. Number 6. Eat within a 10 to 12 hour window. This next habit might surprise you, because it's not really about what you eat, it's about when. In Japan, many older adults naturally keep their eating window to around 10 to 12 hours. That means if they start breakfast at 8 a.m., their last bite of dinner usually happens before 6 or 7 p.m. No late-night snacking, no mindless grazing until bedtime. Why does this matter so much? Because the body isn't designed to be digesting food around the clock. When you give it a break, something remarkable happens, a process called autophagy. Think of it as your body's housekeeping service. Old, damaged cells and proteins get recycled, inflammation levels drop, and your system gets a chance to repair itself. In simple terms, eating within a set window gives your cells time to take out the trash. Over time, this contributes to better energy, slower aging, and a reduced risk of chronic disease. American researchers have been looking into this too, often under the name intermittent fasting. Studies show that keeping meals within 8 to 12 hours a day can improve insulin sensitivity, lower blood sugar, and even reduce the risk of heart disease. I had one patient, a man in his late 50s who was pre-diabetic. He didn't want more pills, but he was open to lifestyle changes. By simply shifting his meals earlier in the day and cutting out late-night snacks, his blood sugar dropped into the normal range within months. He told me, "I never thought the timing of food could matter more than the food itself." Of course, this isn't one size fits all. If you're older, frail, or struggling with chronic illness, extreme fasting, like skipping meals for 16 or 18 hours, can actually do more harm than good. That's why the Japanese approach is so gentle and sustainable. They're not starving themselves. They're just eating in a natural rhythm that gives the body time to rest. In the US, intermittent fasting often gets marketed as a trendy, aggressive diet challenge. But in reality, the Japanese version is softer, more human, and easier to maintain for life. So how can you try this without feeling deprived? One simple way is to push breakfast a little later, say 9 instead of 7, and finish dinner earlier in the evening. Even small adjustments like these can shorten your eating window without making you feel like you're missing out. Some people like to keep a food curfew, promising themselves the kitchen is closed after 7 p.m. Others simply cut back on nighttime snacks and see results quickly. The beauty of this habit is that it doesn't require special foods, supplements, or expensive programs. It's about giving your body the natural rhythm it's been craving all along. And the payoff can be huge: better digestion, steadier energy, and the chance to let your cells quietly repair themselves every single night. And here's the exciting part. If your body can literally take out the trash just by shifting when you eat, wait until you hear the next habit. It's about tapping into your body's own power to restore itself in ways most people never imagine. Number 5. Eat the 5 colors every day. One of the simplest yet most powerful habits you can borrow from the Japanese lifestyle is something they call the principle of 5 colors on your plate. In other words, don't just eat green vegetables. Make sure you're also adding reds, yellows, purples, and whites every single day. It may sound almost too simple, but the truth is, color isn't just decoration. Color is chemistry. Each shade in fruits and vegetables represents different natural compounds that protect your body. The deep reds of tomatoes and strawberries are rich in lycopene, linked to heart health. The orange of carrots and pumpkin comes from carotenoids, which support your vision and immune system. Leafy greens bring chlorophyll and folate to fuel your cells, while purple foods like blueberries or eggplants carry anthocyanins that fight inflammation. Even the pale whites, like garlic and onions, deliver allicin, nature's own defense against infections. Together, these pigments form a shield against cancer, cardiovascular disease, and premature aging. I'll never forget one of my patients, an 80-year-old gentleman who proudly told me he ate vegetables every day. But when I looked closer, it turned out he was only eating spinach and broccoli. Just green, nothing else. Over time, he developed vision problems and borderline vitamin A deficiency. Once we added orange foods like carrots and butternut squash into his diet, his eyesight stabilized, and he felt more energetic. Sometimes, just expanding the colors on your plate can fill gaps you didn't even know were there. And science backs this up. A World Health Organization report on dietary diversity found that people who consistently follow a so-called rainbow diet have up to a 31% lower risk of heart disease compared to those who don't. That's a huge difference created not by expensive supplements, but simply by choosing foods of different colors. The beauty of this habit is how easy and fun it can be. You don't need a complicated plan or special groceries. You can start with something as simple as a 5-color salad. Toss in red tomatoes, orange bell peppers, yellow corn, green cucumbers, and purple cabbage. In just one bowl, you've given your body a spectrum of nutrients it can't get from green alone. Kids especially love this approach because it turns eating healthy into something playful and colorful. Now, let's be honest, when you compare this to the average American fast food meal, the contrast is striking. A cheeseburger, fries, and soda might be filling, but it's basically 3 shades of beige and brown. In Japan, even a simple bento lunch often looks like a work of art. Rice, salmon, pickled radish, spinach, and a few slices of bright carrot. Their plates look alive, and so do the people who eat them. So here's a little experiment you can try at home tonight. Before you sit down to eat, glance at your plate and count how many colors you see. If it's only 1 or 2, think about what's missing. Just by adding more colors, you're not just making the meal prettier, you're making it a powerful prescription for long-term health. And here's the exciting part. While colors can tell you what your body needs, the next habit reveals something even deeper. It teaches you the wisdom of knowing when your body has had enough. Number 4. Hara Hachi Bu, the 80% rule. There's a saying in Okinawa, home to some of the world's longest-living people, Hara Hachi Bu. It's a gentle reminder taught from childhood that means eat until you're 80% full. Not stuffed, not oversatisfied, just pleasantly nourished, with room to breathe. Science now tells us that this simple phrase hides a powerful truth. By eating slightly less, you're not depriving your body. You're protecting it. When we consistently stop at 80%, we naturally lower calorie intake, reduce oxidative stress on our cells, and even activate pathways linked to longer lifespan. Studies on animals, from mice to monkeys, show that modest calorie restriction slows aging, lowers disease risk, and keeps metabolism more efficient. Humans are no different. We thrive when we give our bodies a little less than they crave in the moment. I remember one of my patients, a 65-year-old retired teacher. For years, she struggled with high blood pressure and creeping weight gain, even though she thought she was eating healthy. The problem wasn't the food itself, it was the portion size. Once she started practicing Hara Hachi Bu by using smaller bowls and pausing between bites to check in with her body, the changes were remarkable. Within 6 months, she lost nearly 20 pounds, her blood pressure stabilized, and she told me, "For the first time in years, I feel light, not just in my body, but in my mind." The Okinawans have known this for centuries. They remain one of the healthiest, longest-living populations on Earth, and Hara Hachi Bu is woven into their daily culture. Contrast that with the American tradition of clean your plate. Many of us were raised to finish every last bite, even when we were no longer hungry. Combine that with oversized portions at restaurants, and it's no wonder so many Americans unintentionally eat far beyond what their bodies actually need. The beauty of Hara Hachi Bu is that it doesn't require counting calories or following strict diet plans. It's about mindfulness and small shifts. You can start by using a smaller plate so your portions look fuller, or by simply eating slower, giving your stomach time to send signals of satiety to your brain. Sometimes, putting down your fork for just a minute can help you realize you're already satisfied. It may feel counterintuitive, but eating a little less today can actually give you more life tomorrow. It's not about restriction. It's about freedom. Freedom from the heaviness that comes with overeating, freedom from chronic disease, and freedom to enjoy a longer, healthier life. And here's the exciting part. Eating less doesn't just help your waistline. The next habit goes even deeper. It has the power to boost your immune system and strengthen your body's natural defenses. Number 3. Eat fermented foods. Every day, if there's one habit that feels both ancient and cutting edge at the same time, it's eating fermented foods. Cultures around the world have been doing this for thousands of years, long before we even knew what probiotics were. But now, science is showing us just how powerful these foods really are. Fermented foods help feed the good bacteria in your gut, creating a balanced microbiome that supports digestion, immunity, and even mental health. Yes, you heard that right. What happens in your gut can directly affect how you feel in your mind. Harvard researchers have studied what they call the gut-brain axis, and the findings are incredible. A healthier gut can improve mood, reduce anxiety, and even sharpen memory. I've seen this in my own patients. One woman in her early 60s came to me struggling with mild depression and constant bloating. Instead of adding more medication, we started small, introducing fermented foods into her daily meals. She tried kefir in the mornings and kimchi with her dinner. Within a few months, not only did her digestion improve, but she also reported feeling lighter emotionally, more stable and more optimistic. She told me, "It's like my stomach and my mind are finally working together." The Japanese have long embraced fermented foods like natto, a sticky soybean dish packed with vitamin K2, and miso soup, staples that support gut health and longevity. In the West, we have our own versions: yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, pickles. Each culture brings its own twist, but the underlying principle is the same: live, beneficial bacteria that help the body heal itself. Of course, a word of caution: fermented foods can be salty. For people with sensitive stomachs or hypertension, it's best to choose low-sodium versions or start with small portions. And always listen to your body. What helps one person may overwhelm another. The easiest way to begin is by adding just one serving a day. A bowl of Greek yogurt sprinkled with flax seeds in the morning, a spoonful of sauerkraut on your sandwich, or a small side of miso soup with dinner. Tiny steps, but over time, they reshape your gut environment, and with it, your overall health. It's amazing to think that something as simple as a spoonful of yogurt can ripple all the way to your brain, lifting your mood and sharpening your focus. And yet, as powerful as that sounds, the next habit holds an even deeper secret, one that connects not just to what you eat, but how you move and live every single day. Number 2. The order of eating. Here's a habit that feels almost too simple to matter, yet it can transform the way your body handles food. The order in which you eat. In Japan, many people naturally start their meals with vegetables, move on to protein, and finish with carbohydrates. It may sound like a small detail, but this sequence changes how your body processes sugar, and that can make a world of difference. When you eat vegetables first, the fiber forms a kind of protective layer in your digestive tract. Think of it like putting on a jacket before stepping into cold weather. It shields your body. This jacket slows down how quickly sugars from carbs enter your bloodstream. As a result, your blood sugar rises more gently, avoiding the spikes and crashes that leave you tired, irritable, and hungry again soon after. Researchers at Cornell University put this to the test. They found that people with type 2 diabetes who ate their vegetables before carbs had significantly lower post-meal blood sugar. Over time, this simple habit helped them manage their condition without major changes to what they ate, just how they ate it. I saw this in one of my own patients, a man in his early 60s living with type 2 diabetes. For years, his HbA1c, a measure of long-term blood sugar control, stayed stubbornly high despite medication. We introduced this eating order: salad first, then grilled fish or chicken, then rice or bread. Within 3 months, his HbA1c dropped to near normal levels. He felt more energetic and, for the first time in years, hopeful. He told me, "Doctor, it's like my body finally understands how to eat." This approach also makes meals feel lighter. Starting with vegetables helps you feel full faster, which means you naturally eat less of the heavier stuff later on. And it's flexible. Whether your plate has salmon and rice or pasta and chicken, the principle stays the same. Of course, it's not one size fits all. For people with very sensitive stomachs, eating raw vegetables first might feel harsh. In that case, lightly cooked veggies or a warm soup can serve the same purpose, easing digestion while still slowing sugar absorption. So here's a simple blueprint you can try tonight. Begin with a fresh salad or steamed greens, follow with your protein, fish, chicken, beans, or tofu, and save the rice, bread, or pasta for last. No complicated rules, no strict diets, just a gentle shift in order that helps your body stay balanced. It's proof that sometimes health isn't about eating less or avoiding your favorite foods. It's about finding the right rhythm. And speaking of rhythm, the final habit is something almost ritualistic. A morning practice so deeply rooted in Japanese doctors' lives that they swear they'd never start a day without it. Number 1. Morning ritual. 640 ml of warm water. Right after waking up. Sometimes the habits that look the simplest are the ones that carry the most power. In Japan, many doctors begin their mornings not with coffee, but with something far more basic. A tall glass of warm water, about 640 milliliters, right after waking up. It sounds almost too easy, but when you think about it, the logic is undeniable. Your body has just gone 7 or 8 hours without a single sip. That's a long stretch of time to be in a mild state of dehydration. First thing in the morning, your blood is thicker, your circulation slower, and your digestive system sluggish. A rush of warm water works like a gentle reset button. It rehydrates every cell, jumpstarts circulation, wakes up your kidneys, and prepares your stomach to digest the day's first meal. Japanese researchers have even linked this practice to a lower risk of stroke. Hydrating first thing in the morning appears to reduce the chance of sudden blood clots that can occur after a night of fluid loss. It's a small step, but one that can have life-saving consequences. I think of one of my patients, a 72-year-old woman who often felt dizzy and lightheaded when she first got out of bed. We tried a number of adjustments, but what finally helped was this simple ritual: drinking warm water before doing anything else. Within weeks, her morning dizziness eased, her digestion improved, and she told me she finally felt steady starting her day. Of course, like any habit, it isn't one size fits all. People with heart or kidney conditions may need to be mindful of how much fluid they take in, especially at once. For most, though, this practice is perfectly safe and deeply beneficial, and you don't have to keep it plain. Some add a squeeze of lemon for vitamin C, or even a few grains of mineral salt to replace electrolytes lost overnight. It's interesting to compare this with the typical American morning ritual, reaching straight for coffee. Don't get me wrong, I love coffee too, but caffeine is a diuretic, which can actually dehydrate you further if it's the very first thing you put in your body. By starting with water, you're giving your system what it truly craves after a night of rest: Coffee can still be part of the routine, but let it come after that glass of warm water. So while it might look like the simplest of the 7 habits, this ritual is, in many ways, the foundation. It's not about quenching thirst. It's about priming your body for health, energy, and clarity from the very first moment of the day. And here's the surprising truth. This is only the beginning. These 7 habits already carry enough power to transform your health. But what comes next might shock you, because there are still a couple of hidden principles even more powerful than what we've just uncovered. Sleep and longevity. Sleep isn't just about resting. It's the way your body heals and renews itself. Research from Harvard shows that people who consistently get 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night have a 24% lower risk of early death compared to those who are chronically sleep-deprived. That number might sound clinical, but behind it lies a simple truth. Good sleep can literally extend your life. I remember one patient who struggled with chronic insomnia. He was forgetful, had trouble focusing, and often felt like he was aging faster than he should. Once he committed to going to bed at the same time every night and stuck to a steady rhythm, his memory began to improve, and his mood became more stable. Within just a few weeks, his family said he seemed younger, more vibrant. And the practical steps? They're surprisingly simple. One tip is to turn off all screens at least an hour before bedtime so your brain isn't overstimulated by blue light. On top of that, keeping your bedroom completely dark helps your body produce melatonin naturally, the hormone that guides you into deep, restorative sleep. Sometimes what we need isn't another pill or a complicated supplement, but simply allowing ourselves the right kind of rest. Sleep, more than almost any other habit, is the quiet gift that helps us live longer and healthier. Social connection and optimism. One of the most powerful predictors of longevity isn't hidden in your DNA or a fancy medical test. It's the quality of your relationships. The famous Harvard study of adult development, which has followed people for over 80 years, found something remarkable. Those with strong, supportive connections lived longer, healthier, and happier lives than those who were isolated, even when diet and income were taken into account. I think of one gentleman, 95 years old, who still meets his friends every week to play chess. His body may move a little slower, but his mind is sharp, and he rarely feels the weight of loneliness. Compare that with people who spend most of their days alone. The difference in health and vitality is almost night and day. The takeaway is simple but profound. Nurture at least 3 or 4 close relationships. They don't have to be perfect. They just need to be genuine. Join a community club, volunteer, or simply pick up the phone and call a friend. Staying connected isn't just about having company. It keeps your stress levels lower, strengthens your immune system, and gives you a reason to keep showing up for life. And here's the part many people overlook. Optimism itself is contagious. Surrounding yourself with positive, uplifting people not only brightens your days, but also helps build resilience when life inevitably throws challenges your way. Longevity isn't some secret pill or miracle cure. It lives in the small, everyday choices you make. The way you eat, move, rest, and connect with others. Each tiny habit may seem simple on its own, but together they can reshape the way you age and how fully you get to enjoy life. So here's my invitation for you. Don't wait for the perfect time. Pick just one of these 7 habits and start today. Maybe it's sipping warm water in the morning. Maybe it's pausing at 80% full. Or maybe it's calling a friend you've been meaning to reconnect with. Try it out, feel the difference, and then share your experience in the comments. Who knows? Your story might be the inspiration someone else needs to start their own journey toward a longer, healthier life.